That's what the G7 is all about, and rallying the world's democracies to meet the challenges that the world faces and deliver for our people and for people, quite frankly, everywhere. And I committed that we would provide a half a billion beyond the 80 million we've already done, half a billion doses of Pfizer vaccine, which we contracted to pay for, that they would provide another half billion. So we're going to have 1 billion doses of vaccine. And in our case, that includes sharing more than not just the 1 billion doses overall, but we're going to provide for 200 million of those doses by the end of the year, another 300 million by the first half of next year. Not only how we deal with the distribution and help in getting shots in arms for the rest of the world, but how we're going to deal with putting together a mechanism to anticipate and deal with and be aware of the next pandemic when it comes along, and there will be others. Critically, the G7 leaders endorsed a global minimum tax of 15%. So many corporations have been engaged in what are essentially tax havens, deciding that they would pay considerably less in other environs around the world. We also made a momentous commitment at the G7 to help meet more than $40 trillion need that exists for infrastructure in the developing world. I put forward an idea that was called, we named the Build Back Better World Partnership, which is, we're calling it the B3W. The point is that what's happening is that China has its Belt and Road Initiative, and we think that there's a much more equitable way to provide for the needs of countries around the world. And so it's a values-driven, high-standard, transparent financing mechanism we're going to provide and support projects in 4 key areas: climate, health, digital technology, and gender equity. And we believe that will not only be good for the countries, but be good for the entire world and represent values that our democracies represent, and not autocratic lack of values. We also made a historic commitment to permanently eliminate the use of our public finance to support unabated coal projects around the world, and to end them by this year. The G7 agreed to that, and those who are not members but visiting members who are participating in the G7 who have coal-fired facilities have also agreed that they would work in that direction as well. One of my colleagues said to me when I was there was, well, the United States' leadership recognizes there is global warming. And I know that sounds silly, but you know, we had a president who basically said it's not a problem, global warming. It is the existential problem facing humanity, and it's being treated that way. So we're going to provide up to $2 billion to support developing countries as they transition away from unabated coal-fired power. In addition, we also agreed to tackle corruption. I said, for an American president every president to be sustained, or prime minister, has to represent the values of their country. And I pointed out, and I mean this sincerely, we're unique as a country. We're unique in the sense that we're not based on ethnicity or geography or religion. We're one nation that said we organized on an idea. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. Sounds corny, but it's real. And any president who doesn't act consistent with what the raison d'etat for the nation is cannot be sustained at the support of that country. So we're going to work together to address issues like the abuse of shell companies, money laundering through real estate transactions, and we've agreed that we're going to work together to address cyber threats from state and non-state actors like criminal ransomware networks, and hold countries accountable that harbor criminal ransomware actors, don't hold them accountable. 1, delivering vaccines and ending the pandemic. 2, driving substantial inclusive economic recovery around the world. 3, in fueling infrastructure development in places that most badly need it. And 4, in fighting climate change. The only way we're going to meet the global threats is by working together. America is back at the table. is America's back at the table. The lack of participation in the past and full engagement was noticed significantly, not only by the leaders of those countries, but by the people in the G7 countries. Along together, but the truth of the matter is we did. I felt, it wasn't about me, but it was about America. I felt a genuine sense of enthusiasm that America was back at the table and fully engaged. And now I'm going to be heading off to Brussels, to NATO, and many of the same people are going to be at that table, and in NATO, and to make the case we are back as well. We do not view NATO as a sort of a protection racket. We believe that NATO is vital to our ability to maintain American security for the remainder of the century.